the sunshine.
What is up, guys? Welcome to Coffee Thoughts Podcast. I hope you're having a great week so far. So apologize, this podcast is late. The last couple weeks I've just been working on filming, getting this new music, trying to get it finished. I accidentally deleted a bunch of files from my computer and I had to redo a bunch of stuff. That's fine. And I'm also moving out of the city very soon, so I've been packing, and this is like the only thing I haven't taken down from my room, this backdrop. So I just want to do a couple updates before I get into the episode. So first of all, the SayWeCanFly smartphone app is available for Android and iPhone. So if you want to download that, the link is below. You can send me messages. There's some exclusive audio and video, and if you guys have sent me messages in the last couple weeks, I'm just catching up today, and I'm pretty much caught up now, but usually it takes me 1 to 3 days to reply. So if you want to send me a message, need advice, want to talk about anything, share stuff, just feel free to do that. And the app is free, of course. And if you want to send me a voicemail too, I have a voicemail inbox. The link is below. You can send me a voicemail. So I'm also going to be listing a bunch of new merch on my Depop, which is at Braden Berry. So I have pop sockets and posters. And also, I don't know if you guys remember, but like back when I was in high school, we used to have these like little like sweatbands you put on your wrist. You get them at like Hot Topic and like Ardene's and stuff, and they had like little emo designs on them. So I actually made some of those. I also made Stay Cozy like sweatbands for your head, so that's cool. So those will be up soon. I'm just waiting for them to be shipped. And then I'm also going to be making some more Stay Cozy sweaters too. So if you want to check out my Depop, the link is below. And other than that, The Gentleman Stoners episode 2 is out now. Me and my buddy Micah have been working on writing and filming a show called The Gentleman Stoners. And so episode 2 is out. Episode 3 should be coming out next weekend. I'm going to be editing tonight. And then we're filming episode 4 this weekend. And so basically we're just like shooting an entire season of this show, and then we're going to write a feature. So it's been like super fun so far. I love making it. I love acting. I love just like doing more of that kind of thing. And I'm going to be getting a cinema camera at some point later this year, so I can start shooting more of my own stuff, just kind of like landscape videos, travel videos, and just like short films and whatnot. So I've been like, researching gear and stuff. But yeah, so that's cool. And then new music still is in the works. I'm working on finishing the Nosebleed EP, and I'm going to be putting out a studio version of my song Walking Disaster. I found this old recording session that I had done like last year with my buddy Connor, and totally forgot about it. So I'm working on just cleaning that up. I have to redo some vocals, but I'm going to be putting that out on Spotify and iTunes probably before the Nosebleed EP, and I'm going to be releasing it on the SayWeCanFly app first before I put it out publicly. So that's about it, I think, for updates. And of course, got some delicious little Starbies. Kind of sad because where I'm moving, there's not a Starbucks, but they're building one. So hopefully they do that soon, because I need that shit. I need that shit. So anyway, all right, let's get into the episode. So I didn't know what I was going to talk about today, but then I started listening to. I was catching up on my voicemail messages, and somebody had sent me a pretty heavy message about like just suicide, like some people that in their life had committed suicide, and they were coming up on like anniversaries, which is like a really heavy thing, obviously. But they were just kind of talking about like, why people give up, and like, is life really just as simple as like you live and you die, and what's the point, and just kind of talking about all these things, and it just really made me think about impermanence. And I wanted to talk about kind of just impermanence in general, and how to accept it, and why you should accept it, and why it's not, to me, is not a bad thing. So I think impermanence, or not being able to accept it, and impermanence is like, if you don't know what that word means, it's just the opposite of something that's permanent, something that's temporary, something that is not going to last forever. And I think a lot of the problem that we have as humans is that we can't accept that. So it's like, if somebody in your life dies, you go through this crazy mourning period, and you're like, why did this happen? And it's hard to accept when somebody's gone, or if something's gone. Like if you lose money, or if you lose a job, or if you lose something, it's so hard to accept when something is gone. and that can send you into like a spiral of depression, anxiety, like suicidal thoughts. Like when something changes, when a form changes in our lives, like we have trouble letting it go, because forms are how we build our identity. Our attachment to forms in this life, where you live, what school you went to, what you do, what clothes you wear, what you look like, your body is a form. Our attachment to these different various forms is how we kind of formulate who we are, who we think we are. And it's like your identity is based on your attachment to different forms. You know, your family too. It's like that's a big one. It's like whatever forms you have in your life, you attach to, and your ego kind of builds itself through that. So that's kind of why we lose the true kind of like just nature of our being, which is just consciousness, and which is just consciousness basically. And we start to believe that we are who we are, and we have an identity, and we're an individual. It's because we all have different forms and like this life story that we build and attach ourselves to. So if somebody asks you who you are, what would you say? You'd probably well, for me it's like, first thing I'd be like, well, my name's Braden, I'm a musician, I live in Canada. It's like those three things are forms. You know, my name is just a label. You know, musician is also a label. Living in Canada, which is just really a place on the earth that people decided was going to be separate from the rest, when it's really not, because a border is just made up. That's also kind of a label, but it's like these kind of ideas that we attach to, which allow us to confirm to ourselves and to other people that we are separate individuals. So we kind of like brainwash ourselves, and like we are programmed from very young to believe these things. So that's why it's like when you lose, like let's just say like, you know, you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, it's like they become part of your identity because you're not single anymore. You're in a relationship, which to you is it's a label, and it's something that you now see reality through. You see it through that lens instead of being single, right? So it changes kind of psychologically how you perceive everything, but also how you perceive yourself, because you're no longer single, like just simple as that. So like let's just say you lose that person. Now that kind of identity that you had with that is destroyed, is shook. So it's like now that's why you fall apart, because you're like, I had this thing, this I was attached to this person, and they're just gone now. So there's this like piece of me that's missing. And the only reason for that is because you believe that that's part of who you are. If you weren't attached to that idea or that form, it being there or not being there would not make a difference. If you truly were just connected with your being and your consciousness, and you weren't attached to anything in this physical reality, which is basically impossible. I mean, like, probably if you spent your entire life in a cave, just meditating, which I know some people do, it's like, maybe you would have a lot less of that, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like you're still kind of in that cave. But it's like, I think like that's kind of the point of being a human, is to experience those things. Like if you believe like I do that everything and the entire universe is just kind of one thing and one consciousness, and we're all just branches of that one thing, I think the point of taking the temporary form of a human is so that intelligence, that consciousness that is infinity, that is everything, that is also not everything at the same time, just like whatever that thing is, which I don't know, nobody I don't think can wrap their head around, but it's like I feel like the point of being a human is if that thing, was like, I want to experience duality, I want to experience loss, I want to experience love, I want to experience like the ups and downs, which you can't experience if you are just the one whole thing, because there's no separation. So if you create this kind of vessel, which is the human body or the human existence, that allows you to experience those things, you now are able to do that. You know what it's like. But I think like we have a hard time accepting impermanence, because it's like, no matter what you do in your life, no matter where you are, who you are, ultimately that it's gonna end. It's just this knowing that you probably don't think about every day, but it's like, that's hard to deal with, man, because it's like, in a way that's kind of, what's the point, right? It's like you can look at it that way, and you can actually be pretty justified in seeing things that way. If you say like, what is the point? That's a good question. That is a very good question. And I think a lot of people don't know how to answer that. And that's probably why a lot of people are depressed and why a lot of people commit suicide, because things happen in their lives that, you know, just cause this like turmoil and cause this chaos that they can't find, you know, a justification to continue to experience. So it's like, yeah, fuck it, man, just give up, you know. But I think, like, to me, and I can only ever talk out of personal experience, but I think impermanence is what actually allows for things to be beautiful and allows for things to have meaning. If you give them meaning, if you choose to give them meaning, you can choose to wake up every day and see that life has absolutely no meaning, but that is also still a meaning that you're giving life. So kind of no matter what you do, even if you're a pessimist, even if you're a nihilist, like, your life still does have a meaning. It just happens to be that life has no meaning. So I think you can really ultimately choose what it is. But it's like, if life lasted absolutely forever, like if this human life in this form, like you knew that it was endless. You couldn't die, no matter, even if you tried, you couldn't die. Like, imagine that. Imagine how boring, imagine how just like desolate that would be. It's like, it would just endless. Then it would have absolutely no fucking meaning at all, because it's like, no matter what you did, it just like, it doesn't matter, because it goes on forever and ever and ever and ever, infinitely. So it's like, because there is like a linear start and end to our human lives, it's like, it does kind of allow room for like, all right, well, I don't know what's gonna happen after. I don't know what happened before. I don't really know where that weird space is. There's this Alan Watts quote. I forget exactly how he said, but he's like, we all think about the fact that we're going to fall asleep and never wake up, but we don't think about the fact that we woke up and never fell asleep. So it's like, we're all scared to death, but it's like, what happened before we were born? It's like, we woke up into this reality, into this form, but we never fell asleep. So it's like, there's this weird kind of interval that we don't understand, that we consider to be like death or non-existence. So it's like, because there's this like unknown thing that we know we are running towards, but also running away from, it allows for the thing in between, like the time when you're alive, to have just like insane depth and insane meaning, because it's like, it's fucking crazy, man. It's like, because you know that you're gonna end up there no matter what you do. So it's like, might as well fucking enjoy the ride and not take it so seriously and not be so personally attached to it. Because the thing is, like, with attachments and with like identity and the things in our lives that we hold on to, like money and success and all this shit, it's just like, we're grabbing on, like we're flying through the air on it. We're grabbing onto a broken airplane that's falling to the ground. You know, it's like, it's not going to change the fact that ultimately this life is impermanent, this form is impermanent. So it's like, just don't take it so seriously. And it's like, I think depression and anxiety a lot of times just come from getting way too attached to people and to ideas and to parts of your identity. So if you can kind of detach from that and accept that, like, you know what, like, this none of this is real in a way, because it's going to end. And as far as you know, like, this existence in this form is going to be cut off at some point. So it's like, anything you're grabbing onto, anything that happens in your life, anything that changes, it's like, ultimately, it's still just part of this in-between phase of, you know, birth and death, like what is in between that, in linear terms, I mean. So it's like, ultimately, it shouldn't, like, I don't know, I just think the problem that we have is, like, we're too attached to things, you know, and we're taught to be that way. So I think kind of the way to alleviate anxiety and depression and just like hating your life is to just be a little detached, you know. And that's easier said than done, but you can do it, you know, you can. And I think part of a good way to do that is stop focusing on yourself so much, you know. It's like, stop making life all about you. And it's like, that is what we do as humans, because we want to survive. And I think ultimately you're always going to kind of have your best interest at the forefront. But I think there's a way to focus on, like, the well-being of other people and focus on the well-being of the planet, or just reality as a whole. Like, what can you do? Like, what's a small thing that you can do? How can you do your part? Because, like, when you start to focus more on, like, other people and making other people's lives better, like, if you have the thoughts of, like, oh, fucking hate my life, like, I want to die, it's like, you just don't you care more about other people. So it's like you're less attached to what you want and how things go for you. And I think you always need to kind of maintain and keep yourself in a good space, and like obviously, you know, do the things that help you grow and help you live your best life. But I think you can do that while focusing on the well-being of other people. And I think when you genuinely care about helping other people, the universe helps you as well, because it's like I think life or the universe or consciousness is always looking to expand itself. So if you're a vessel that's allowing for that to happen and willing to do your part to help that happen, like the universe is going to help you help it do that. So I think like when you kind of focus a little more on other people, it's like you stop, you realize how stupid it is to like sit there and complain about your life all day, and you know you just start to care more about like other people. And when you can shift your focus to that, it does help you detach, and it does help you kind of expand your awareness to like the greater picture, you know, whatever that might be. But I think just honestly accepting impermanence, accepting the fact that life is temporary as far as we know. Forms are temporary, like every form in our lives is temporary. Our body, our friends, our family, the money we have, like the house we have, like everything. This fucking coffee was full at one point and now it's almost empty. It's all impermanent, and I think just the acceptance of that and the willingness to be like, all right, like cool, like everything's gonna change. I just have to be there for the fucking ride, because it's like we get so comfortable in our lives that we forget how absolutely intense this is. Like this is a trip, man. This is like hallucinogenic drugs times a million, but we don't realize it because it's what we exist through every day. But it's like, really think about it, man. This is one giant fucking trip, because it's like there's the darkness before it and there's the darkness after it. We don't know what either of those things are, if they're the same place or what, but it's like it's this impermanent kind of moment, this like adrenaline rush that lasts about fucking 80 years or whatever. I don't know human normal lifespan now, but it's like, dude, just enjoy it. Just don't stop taking it so seriously. Do what you can, have fun with it, try to help other people, navigate through it, because that makes it better for everybody. But just have fun with it, like enjoy it, like just fucking enjoy it. There's so much to explore. It's like there's so many details. Like lay on your floor and just look at the fucking corner of where your wall meets the floor. Look at the little like dust particles. Like just there's so many little details that we just miss all the time. And it's like the more you immerse yourself into that, it's like it just makes it cool, you know. And I don't know. Just don't take it try not to take it so seriously, you know, and do what you want to do. Like fuck it, man. You know, we worry too much about like what other people want us to do and what our parents think and what our friends think. It's like, who cares? No, it doesn't matter. I think like, to me, it's like, I think the moral standard should be, as long as you're not like really like hurting people or like going out of your way to do that, it's like just kind of do your thing, you know. So anyway, hopefully that made some sense. I just kind of was inspired to talk a little bit about that today. And if you guys, you know, just want to just kind of fill your head more with this, like listen to Alan Watts. Like if you listen to one person talk, listen to Alan Watts. He's my favorite philosopher of all time, and his kind of teachings and his lectures have just like changed my perspective on so many things. And it's just, I think the more you build your perspective, the more you shape reality for yourself, because I do believe that you can mold your reality and you can change the experience for yourself. And I think it's important to know that. And it's something that we shouldn't have to struggle to know or to find out. It's something that we should be, I think, taught from when we're young, but we're not right now. But the way you think and the way you perceive everything will change the whole thing. And it's this weird paradox, because it's like, I don't know, man. It is this weird paradox, because it's like, I'm trying to think of a good example here. Like, let's just say, like, you know, you go through life, for whatever reason, you don't believe that the color red exists. You've never seen it, you don't believe it's there, it's not there. Even if other people say it's there, to you it's not there. Like, let's just say, like, crazy, if you're colorblind, I don't really know the best example, but like let's just say like for whatever reason you know for a fact that the color red is not there. It's not there. Like think about it. It's like no matter, even if other people say it's there, it's not there. So because of the way you're perceiving and what you're believing about reality reflects that to you. So it's like it's it's so hard to explain, but it's like because of the way you see it, it is that way, right? So it's like no matter, like you can never be in you can never experience reality through someone else. You can only experience it through yourself, and that person is part of your experience. So it's like no matter what they see, reality is still the way that you see it, and that is the way that it is. Just like it is to me. If I believe that the color red does exist, it is that. The color red does exist, but the color red also does not exist at the same time, and both are right. So I think you just have to kind of try to understand like the things you believe about reality and the way that you see it actually does generate that for you, and it will be that way. So it's like each individual person has an entirely separate reality, and you shape that for yourself. Nobody does that for you. You do that for yourself, and you can change it. And reality is what you say it is and what you believe it to be. And it always will be, and it's always going to be right. So I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does, but just it's powerful. It's fucking powerful shit, man. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm going to make another one next week, obviously. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube. I noticed that the subscribers have gone up a lot, so thank you guys for, if you're new, thank you so much for subscribing. I know I haven't put out a lot of music content lately, but I am working on a bunch of new stuff, and I'm going to be doing these every week, so thank you so much for subscribing. And follow me on Instagram, SayWeCanFly. Check out my merch, check out my website, got all that shit down below. So anyway, love you guys, stay cozy. If you want to check out our show, The Gentleman Stoners, go to thegentlemanstoners.com. It's pretty funny. Episode 3 is coming next week. Alright, love you guys, stay cozy. Peace.